Hello, in this video I'll show you the best way to model in Blender to get nice, smooth, clean subdivision surfaces. So here's my default cube. I just deleted all the other faces. So let's do some basic modeling. I'll just press 2 to go into the edge level, select this edge and just extrude it. Let's make a nice smooth model here. Let's get some nice curvature going. I can hold down Alt, left click on this to select this entire loop, extrude once more, scale, and just kind of move it until I get a shape that I like. Alright, and what I want to do is weld this vertex, this one. So I'll just press 1 to go into the vertex level. I'll select it, and then we can simply go press N, go into Tool, Options, Auto Merge. The default threshold is fine. We can activate snaps and actually change it to be vertex snap. Alright, we can press N again to hide the tools. They can simply move this to this vertex and it will merge with that. Alright, let's also go into our modifiers and activate mirror. I'm going to bisect and flip to go from left to right. We can minimize this and let's also add to the vision surface. Alright, so here is our basic model. What I'm going to do is to duplicate this, so I'll just press Shift D. I'm going to right click to make sure duplicate is in the same position. I'll double click on the duplicate's name and I'll just call this base and enter, and let's just turn off the visibility. Let's go back to our default cube, make sure it's selected, and let's just do some more modeling. Alright, so let's say I want to add some sort of detail here. I'm going to just use the cut tool. And actually what you can do is that if I press space right now, it's going to turn off the cut tool and I'll be back in the move tool. However, what I can also do is, in order to start a new cut, I can simply press E without confirming, and I can do more cuts like that without having to constantly use the hotkey to go back into the cut tool. So instead of pressing space, simply press E to do more cuts. Alright, and then you can press space to confirm. What I'm going to undo, I just want this detail. Alright, I will select this vertex and I will press X and we're going to delete it. Let's also fix the topology by getting this, E, and then right here. Alright, let's activate our modifiers, see what we've got going here. Alright, you notice that it's just way too smooth here, so I'm going to just add some support loops. Now of course we can use creases if we have volume, but let's also learn about how we can use support loops as well, because they do come in handy in many situations. And there are many studios that prefer support loops as opposed to just creases. Alright, so I'm going to use loop cut. And notice how if I left click on this, it's a little bit lopsided. If we look here, you can see that the space between these two edges is smaller than the space between these edges. So we're going to add a little bit of a modifier to our tool. We're going to left click and we're going to press E. That's going to kind of even out. Now it's a lot more even. Alright, we're going to make things sharper. Not here, but let's say right here. Alright, we're just going to sharpen things up. Alright, there we go. And then I can exit out of that. Alright, we've got the intended results. We made this much sharper. But if we look at the mesh now, we're getting some changes happening here. I'm going to right click and use Shade Smooth. Let's also change our material real quick. Let's go into Material tab. And remember, we don't want to use this. This is the render properties. We want to go into the viewport display. Now what we're going to do is increase the metallic, which makes it just kind of more reflective. And maybe we can decrease the roughness, make it more glossy. This will help us to see errors in our model better and our mesh quality. So because I insert a loop through there, we are now getting sharpness here, which let's say in this situation I don't want. I want it to remain smooth, just like the other object. Smooth like this. And we're also starting to get distortion here because of the topology, so you have some distortion happening here. Alright, so here's the solution. This is a nice technique for clean modeling in Blender. We're going to go into our modifier tab. We're going to add a shrink wrap modifier. We're going to add on top. We want to select the target, which you can do using the eyedropper, and then select the mesh from your scene, Or you can click on the left here and actually choose a name. It's base. And there we go. You can see now what's happening here is that all of the topology is being projected onto this other object. So you can see how they match very well right now. We can just have this invisible so it doesn't create z-fighting. And remember, you can even modify the properties of objects which are hidden. So in this situation, the base object is hidden, but I can still change its properties here. So what we want to do is make sure that we have a high enough level for a subdivision, because if it's too low, we get this kind of faceted effect because we have a more complex mesh being projected onto a simpler mesh. So we want to make sure this is nice and smooth. Let's go with at least 4, maybe even 5. And now we get this nice smooth result. We have some different modes here, but we'll use the default one for now. And there we go. So notice how all the topological issues and distortions are now gone. And we get this really nice smooth mesh. Let's especially look on this corner. All gone, and we still get all the benefits of having those support loops be here. We still get that sharpness. However, you do notice that we have some issues happening. Notice we have this kind of collapsing effect. These vertices are kind of collapsing on themselves, which are causing some really strange issues here and here as well. This is happening because if we look at our base mesh and hide the cube, you will notice that it's nice and smooth here. That was the original way I modeled this. If we turn off subdivision, this was how I modeled initially, and that's giving us a very nice smooth result like this. However, if we look at the cube, if I turn off the shrink wrap, notice how because I insert additional loops, I actually sharpen this area up. So those loops are causing it to be sharp, which means what's happening is that it's trying to shrink wrap all of these vertices onto this smooth mesh. And that's why all these vertices are kind of collapsing on each other. So in order to fix this, what I can actually do is just copy this shrink wrap modifier and apply it. Let me just move it up here. I'm going to apply it. Then I'm going to reactivate the copy. And notice how that issue has now been solved. Now what you may want to do is you may actually want to go in here and just move a few vertices around. So for example, this one looks like it's in the wrong position. So I can just go here and activate edge slide, activate vertex slide, and just kind of slide it like this. And maybe we can do that on the bottom left as well. Let's say right here, just kind of slide it, and there we go. And as you notice, we don't get that strange shading caused by the collapsed vertices. Alright, let's go ahead and add some further detail. So I'm just going to use the cut tool, and let's add some more nice little details here. Right? E, E, E. Alright, just kind of check for n-gons and things like that. For example, here I'm going to press space to confirm. What I would do here is just reactivate snaps. Actually, it's already active, so I'll just select this vertex and snap it to this one, and it's going to merge. Alright, I want there to be a hole here, so I want to select these two vertices, X, and delete them. Alright, let's just add some further detail here. What I can actually do instead of using cut, I can just select some polygons, some faces here, and let's just inset. Let's just do a little bit of scale. Let's just delete this. Alright, let's select this and do a little bit of vertex sliding. Alright, there we go. And maybe you want to do the same for this as well. Alright, so let me just turn off shrink wrap and we'll see what's happening here. You will notice that we get all sorts of terrible distortions happening here. And I've received a whole lot of questions about how you can solve these kinds of issues. Here, it's not so noticeable, but because we have a lot of curve happening here and very simple topology, we're going to get these kinds of really bad distortions. So normally my solution would be to apply subdivision. So normally, for example, my solution would be, I'll just show you. All right, I'll move this off to the side. Normally the solution would be to not have this kind of topology, increase this, let's say to 2, apply it, and then we're going to model something with this increased topology. But of course that makes it more difficult because now you have to worry more about density and you have to spend more time fixing the topology here. Alright, so remember that you're not doing anything wrong when you create these details. This is the natural way that polygons behave. This is one of the natural downfalls of using polygons. However, with the shrink wrap tool, we can easily fix all those problems. Get a very nice smooth surface no matter what kinds of horrible topology you have. So even if I were to go in here and sharpen this area up, right, this would normally cause a lot of havoc. Alright, so all of these support loops would normally cause a lot of havoc, and we can see that because when we activate it with shrink wrap off, we get really bad results here. Now, when you're doing freeform modeling, sometimes these results can actually be desirable because they can help you to create really interesting, crazy shapes. But this situation, I don't want it. I want it to be smooth. I want it to match the base shape, so I'm going to activate shrink wrap, and there we go. It's going to pretty much fix all the results of all the bad topology, and here's these really smooth surfaces. But let's say that we want to create something that does not fit necessarily on this base surface. How can we do that? Well, let's first just create that. So I'm going to use cut, and I'm going to cut like so. Right here, E, and I'm going to cut here as well. E, and I'm going to cut here as well. And let's say right here. Alright, space. I will go into the polygon level and select these polygons. Alright, and I'm going to move that up here. So I just want this nice little detail. However, the problem is that now if I activate all modifiers, even though I don't want it to be shrink wrapped, it's still being shrink wrapped. So what we're going to do is we're going to just switch the vertex level, and notice how these polygons have been converted to vertices. And I'm going to go into the object data properties, vertex groups. We're going to press plus. We're going to assign these vertices to this group. We're going to double click on here, give this a different name. I'm just going to call this nope. Alright, let's go back to our modifiers. Let's go back to shrink wrap, and here we have a vertex group. We're going to click here and select the nope group, and we're going to apply all of our modifiers. However, notice what's happening now is that pretty much nothing is being shrink wrapped except for those vertices. We want the opposite to happen, so we're going to click on this button to invert the effect. Invert. There we go. Now everything is being shrink wrapped except for that vertex group. Alright, we've got mirror, we've got subdivision surface, we've got shrink wrap. Let's say we want to give this some thickness. We're going to apply solidify as well. Right, let's increase the thickness on this. Alright, and notice how all of a sudden we're getting these kind of strange results here, and that's because of the topology. However, we can easily fix this. What we're going to do is just go into edit mode, turn off the modifiers. I'm going to go into the face level, A to select everything. I'm going to do a really small inset. Just really small here. There we go. And notice how now that problem has been fixed. We can even apply another celebrating surface modifier on top of this to give even further smoothness. So there we go. Nice, clean, perfect celebrating surfaces, not a single distortion in sight. So be sure to copy the shrink wrap modifier and apply it once for best results. Thank you for watching and take care.